Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Cruz.
This is Bryce Vine.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is Daryl Ames.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Hey, this is Bryan Fuller from powerrowing. I'm happy to be a part of the Break It Down Show today and talk a little bit about what's going on.
Brian and I go back to the mid-'90s. We are both in Germany in the Army together, and it has been, look, Brian, it's 25 years that we've known each other.
It's unbelievable. Like, we were just kids.
Yeah, it's been a long time. We used to do all kinds of nonsense that young single dudes. We kind of have a bachelor playboy lifestyle where a lot of our money was spent on having fun. And now, yeah, our kids are...
When kids are 25, that's how long we knew each other.
There's a lot of memories in those 25 years. And I don't want to jump in line in front of you because I know you've got some good ones. And it's just always great to hear someone else's recollections of the same time frame. So go ahead.
Oh, all right. So look, I got to start with my favorite all-time Army story. I got to start with that one. And it's going to crack you up. It's going to crack you up, especially you. And the listeners will be like, you just have to bear with me for a second here. So when I first got the Darmstadt, Pete was already there. So he was kind of my welcome committee. And the very, very first thing we did, after just, unloading all your stuff and stuff like that, was train for a thing called Nijmegen. And Nijmegen is like this 4-day march all around the city of Nijmegen to kind of celebrate a bunch of different things. Liberation in Nijmegen during World War II, and it even goes back farther than that. But it's a 100-day march, and they have all these soldiers there. And honestly, it's primarily at this point to celebrate the American soldiers that helped liberate Nijmegen. And Pete signed me up for this. And that was my very first thing I did. Basically, at my very first destination unit was march this 100-mile march of Pete. Pete, do you remember that march?
Yeah, of course. So look, a bunch of us wanted to try to go. And the thing is it turns out I've always been an organizer, and everybody's like, you can't get a group of counterintelligence people to go. But sure enough, we did it. And I think we had a great time.
That was maybe my best 4 days in the whole military happened in my first month.
Yes, it's so true.
And the story I'm going to tell is it's kind of a unique story. Pete will he's going to crack up when I tell him the story. But so every day we march 25 miles, and we were very much not the cohesive unit. Like first 3 days, we just all marched on our own. And because most of the units showed up with like 50 guys, and they were all in order, and they'd carry a flag, and like there was like 9 of us, and we were all spy guys, right? Yeah, and so intel guys, and so we're not that whole good at that whole like marching together kind of thing. So we all kind of did our own thing for the first 4 days, but then ironically on the last day, I think our commander showed up. He was going to see us off. And for whatever reason, out of the 250 or so odd units from around the world, Canada, Japan was there, I think, Germany, Britain, Italy, units from all around the world. Of course, a bunch of American units there, and all the NATO's commanders were there because it's a big deal, And somehow our unit led the charge on the last day, and there was 9 of us. We all had to line up together, and like the string of soldiers went back probably a half a mile, because you march as units together across this 25 miles. And so we went back like a half a mile, and our unit was way up in front, and like everybody's feet was kind of a mess by the fourth day, and we taped it all up and everything, got all ready, and our unit was up front, and the generals all stood up, and we all stood up, and then they sounded the alarm, let's begin. And we started the march. We marched 10 feet. And we had at that time was Specialist Saunders took 10 steps and went, my feet, and fell down on his face right in front of all the major leaders. And then we sit there while he went, my feet, for the next probably a half mile. Units walked by us going, hey, you guys okay? Hey, you guys okay? Hey, you guys. By about the third one, I was like, you know what? F you. That was
But really, though, after all that struggle on the last day to fall out immediately, it was terrible because you're right; those guys were absolutely fucking with us.
I don't know. What's your experience? What do you think about that, Pete? It's probably the fun about the military.
Yeah, it was. So my experience was the same thing. Whenever you march in a group like this, and there's a dignitary like we had, is the unit goes by, you march, and you actually are marching, march, and then the leader of the group goes, to present honors. They say eyes right, and then some of the people salute, some of them just look at the person and with respect, and they go ready front, which means you're going to look back forward again, and then you can kind of relax because you've gone past the podium. So literally, the leader of our group goes, eyes right, step, ready front, oh, and he fell out, like just clearing the bleachers at this point. And they had rank ordered us to be first because we were the slowest unit because we had completely exploded the day before.
Oh, that's why. I didn't even know why we were first. Oh, God. That was the most embarrassing moment. And we're all just standing, guide on, and like, hey, you guys okay? You guys, I remember the British right behind us, and boy, they just were like, oh, it's only 26 more miles, guys. Hang in there. There. I was like, you know what? He's hurt. We should just let him die.
Saunders, God bless. I mean, here's the thing. If you're going to march for 25 miles, the best thing to do is to be done marching. So it takes you 8, 9, 10 hours, however long. If it takes you 12 hours, there's no time to recover. Like, you just want to go, get into your rack, go to sleep, rest up, get food, get water, and get ready for the next day. And Saunders the day before was stopping every 2 hours for an hour, and we were just never going to make it. And so the group totally exploded apart because it was every person for themselves. So our times were terrible because it took them so long to get back. And then, here I am in my recovery sleep. I've been asleep for a few hours. I'd really pushed hard that day to get done because I was so aggravated by Saunders. And he comes in and wakes me up from this recovery deep sleep. And he's like, Pete, I made it. And I wanted to strangle him. Oh, I wanted to strangle him so bad because he was just that's so horrible.
It was hilarious, actually. We were sprinting. You were way up. I think Phil was way up front. It was me, you, Phil, and then Lieutenant Brzezinski, and then another lieutenant was there. I can't remember his name. And a couple other people. And yeah. But we were basically running the whole thing.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And then that last day, it was just like, I'm out of here. We took off going fast. And, that guy, Lieutenant Drew, I can't remember his last name, but he had tendonitis for like the next 18 months. It was an easy thing to do. And, boy, Saunders was just killing us. I'm glad we all got through it, though. What do you remember about people finishing that day?
It's you got to hit your hand like 300 times. You can either do it really quickly, or you can just smash your hand for hours and hours and hours, and get it over with. Just smash it as many times as you can, and like that's really kind of the mentality of it. And that was probably the funniest experience in my military career.
So one of the things I remember was we would be walking along, and there's hundreds of people all around us, and nobody's in formation. There's civilians, there's different military units. Hell, the Swedes are on the side of the road. They're partying at a bar, and we're all about business and everything on hiking. But the paintball, remember the paintball, Brian, where like all of a sudden someone would start limping, and they just grab their thigh, and then they'd get better, and all of a sudden someone else would grab their shoulder, and then it was like just these little micro injuries that would happen and be over within a couple of seconds. And listen, I'm not mad at Saunders. He was trying his best. He dug deep, and none of us knew any better. If I had been the one that had gotten hurt, I likely would have kept pushing too, so I can't blame him for that. And let's not forget, he did totally change he trained the hardest, and then right as we were going, he's like, I bought new boots, and I wrapped my feet so I won't get blisters, which is 100% the wrong thing to do.
He's a good guy. Nothing wrong with him at all, but just, if something could go wrong, he could find a way to make it happen.
So I talked you into Nijmegen. I mean, I know we met and I was helping organize it, but I didn't realize I had talked you into it.
You talked me into it? Yeah. It was pretty easy talk. I was like, hey, we're going to go march up in Netherlands. I was like, oh, another country I've never been to. Let's go. So, yeah, it was 2 seconds.
And you also were good with the local relations, because didn't you pick up a girlfriend who knit you a sweater out there in Dutchland?
I think on the walking next to some Dutch girl, and I'm like, you're very pretty. She's like, you're very handsome. And then we just started kissing. And I ran into her the next day too, and she gave me her number. And and then I went up to visit her in Holland. We dated for a little while on and off. But she was really sweet. She sent me letters while I was in Bosnia, and
Don't forget the sweater.
a sweater, a really nice sweater, really nice sweater. It didn't fit me right at all, but it was all hand knitted, itchy as hell, and the neck was too tight. But a beautiful sweater. It's all really nice. She was a really sweetheart. I don't know where she is now. We lost touch after a long, because honestly, this is actually before like email was like even a thing. So yeah, I got my first email address like 6 months later. So unfortunately, Facebook, obviously never existed. So, but it would be nice to see her. I'd hope she's well and happy and stuff like that. We kind of lost touch over the time.
So let's go back in time a little bit. How does a left-leaning liberal, no good hippie from Boston end up joining the Army? I know when I joined, the economy was really bad. It was hard to find a job, but I don't know what your story is.
No, I'd planned it out for quite a while. I said probably 6 months beforehand. I was like, I'm going to go join up. It was kind of my plan at the end of my into college there. I went down the day after I graduated and signed up. So yeah, it was something I planned on. It was kind of funny though how I wound up in the Army though. When I went to sign up, it was one of those. They had a recruiting thing where you had all four branches right sitting like each one in the corner of the room, so they all facing each other, right? And like and like you walk in there and it's kind of like ooh, and like. And each one's like, come over here. And like, so I wound up sitting with each one, except for the Marines, ironically, because he was on leave. And, I met with the Air Force, and they're like, yeah, you're way too big and fat to fly an airplane. And I was like, oh, all right. And I met with the Navy, and he was wicked sketchy. He's promising me the world. And I met with the Army guy. He's like, look, I already made quota this month. He's like, and so actually, you take this test to join the military. What's it called? The ASFAB or something like that?
Yeah, it's called the ASFAB for sure.
I took the ASFAB, and I think I got like 100 on it. But I don't think I got any questions wrong. And he's like, man, you got a really high score here. Why don't you take the book home and you tell me what you want to do? And so he gave me the book, and I brought it home, and I said, boy, this looks cool, spy. I'll be a spy. And I brought the book back to him, and I said, look, I want to be a spy. And he said, I don't know anything about that. I'll send up a thing. And he said, look, he says, I can get you in that, but it won't be for another 3 months because there's not a whole lot of us in the military. There are not a whole lot of us signed up for it. So they had to, kind of staggered, joining things. So I wound up having to wait 3 months, but then I got what I wanted. Boy, was I lucky.
Yeah, no doubt. Lucky for sure. So my story's similar. I got out, and I would say I was pushing shopping carts in the rain at Costco, and I'm like, something's got to change. And me and this other college grad, we just couldn't get any traction with finding a job. So we were talking early one morning when we were doing some stocking for Costco. And he's like, I think I'm going to go join the Army and become a spy. And I thought, oh, that's interesting. And then that day I was out there in the rain and pushing carts, and I didn't have any experience, so I couldn't get a job, and I couldn't get a job to get any experience. So I was like, something's got to change here. And that was when I was like, I'm just going to go check it out. And that's what I did. I literally went and just checked it out to see what was going on with it. And I think if my recruiter had been anybody different, it would never have worked. He didn't trick me or anything. Actually, he didn't even care. Like your guy, he's like, I'm done. My recruiting tour is over. So, I don't care if you sign up or not. And basically what I told him was, don't bug me. Let me think about it for about a month, and then I'll have an answer for you. But if you bug me, I'm not going to do it. He didn't care. And so a month later, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And like the day I left for the Army, he was packing up his bags to go on to the next assignment. He did suggest that I could possibly play softball on the base team because I played a lot of softball back then. But that turned out to not be true.
How wrong he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Same deal. Yeah, really, really did not have an aggressive approach with me at all, and rarely followed up on me. It's really funny. It's because after I got out, we had the old 9/11 thing, and I got out right before it happened. I got out in '99, and so obviously 2001 happened. But you're on active, inactive ready reserve, and I got calls about once a week. They're like, "Hey, we're going to bring you back. We're going to bring you back. You better sign up. We're going to bring you back." And I'm like, well, you just come and get me. Yeah, I was not keen on the whole that's interesting.
So let's change gears again, and let's talk a little bit about some of the things you actually did as an actual spy. Now that we know why you signed up, and the first thing you did was went on a long country walk in Holland. What do you think is like the crowning achievement for you? I mean, you deployed to Bosnia, but you're an ops guy, and it turns out that probably suits you well. a planner, a guy who's making sure the guys in the field have what they need. But what would you say is the best thing? And you can't say it's the picnic table that you built.
You know what's really funny? I thought the heyday of my thing was I got thrown into operations twice. So once, the first time I went there, I went as part of operations. And I'd say my heyday there was I was the most junior soldier of the bunch. And I had Phil, who was had time in on me, but his rank as me. He was a specialist also. And then I had Sergeant Dunscombe, who not only time on me, but rank on me. And, I guess I'll have to say I did such a good job with operations that Narmi, Chief Officer Narmi, and Chief Warrant Officer Garland said, look, Darmstadt, you're going to report to Specialist Fuller from now on.
Yeah, and let's understand, this is a pretty big deal. Normally, bosses aren't made to be the underlings of underlings, but that's exactly what happened in your case, and that's definitely something I don't know anybody else having that happen where you get switched places like that.
That's pretty damn good. So I was a specialist, and I had an NCO reporting to me because I was the most, put together out of the three of us. Phil was not a dumb guy at all, very sharp guy, had no business being in the military at all. And he made it everybody clear to everybody, I will do whatever you tell me to do, but I am not going to be in charge of anything. Phil's a great guy. I love him to death. Good friend still today. But Darmstadt was just such an idiot. Did so many stupid things. And I had such low morale. They put me in charge, which is never, ever, that's like, you could probably count on the time on your hand that ever happens. A lower ranking guy gets in charge of a higher ranking guy. And that was actually a pretty good honor. And then the second time was, they sent me back to Bosnia, and they told me I was going to be part of AFib, or AMIB, or whatever it is, the British version of us, right? They gave me papers, and I went to go sign in with AMIB, and they're like, oh, we don't have you on our books, but we'll gladly take you, we were excited. And then they couldn't get it processed. And then this other group that was from Fort Hood were like, no, we claim you. And so I wound up was kind of unassigned for like 2 weeks. I wouldn't sign in with the Fort Hood guys because I was told it was going to be part of AMIB, which was a much better deal. So finally, I begrudgingly signed in with AMIB, and the sergeant major in charge of Fort Hood's intel was so mad at me. He's like, we are going to shit on you like crazy for the next 6 months. Expect you to be wiping down the motor pool and raking up landmines. And he was pretty pissed at me for refusing to sign in to him because I was told two different things. I was confused, and I was trying to reach back to my own command. And finally, they were just like, "Why don't you sign with Fort Hood? We'll just call it a day." And I was like, "All right, well, if that's what you want me to do, I'll do that." So I signed with Fort Hood. He was pissed at me, and they assigned the night shift in CI operations, and there was three of us, and so they had CI operations 24 hours a day because that's how Fort Hood runs. Obviously there's a lot of night stuff going on. Whatever. So I took it upon myself to then take all the information that had been collected over the last 2 or 3 years and start to correlate it. And I'd have my guys working, 9 at night till 6 in the morning, retyping up reports and filing them and then coordinating them together. And I actually put together kind of a blue book of everything that's going on in Bosnia by CI operations for the last 3 years. And I had them all organized into here's all the people of interest that this person saw and this person saw, and started to make a link diagram chart. And I got to tell you, the sergeant major who hated my guts for not jumping on board with Fort Hood, at the end of probably 5 months there, he said, Sergeant Fuller, you're doing a damn good job here. I want to put you out in the field. And then he put me out in the field and assigned me to Sergeant Harrington and one officer, God, I can't remember his name. Well, anyway, so assigned me to them out into a field post. And they already had all their connections and stuff like that. They've been out there for a while, and I sort of was like a tag along. But they were so effed up. All they go out and get shit-faced with their sources. And the officers that were in charge of them, the Fort Hood officers, hated the two of them. And they really liked me. And they forced me to be with them. And the Harrington and his warrant officer didn't like me either. Harrington and I, we're friends, but we kind of a rough friendship. And the warrant officer, he was nice enough about it, but he was just such a fucknut. They wound up getting they wound up getting relieved of their duties and like sent to do something else. And then I didn't have it. I wasn't attached to anything else because I didn't have my own warrant officer. So I wound up doing kind of operations there too. But yeah, so that's probably the high point in my military career.
It's funny though the way things work like that. Like people claiming you, like, oh no, we want that guy. He's a CI asset, and they don't know what to do with you. They just want you. And so the Fort Hood guys claim you, but you don't really belong to them. They don't really want to take care of you. They just want to have someone there to do certain work. And it doesn't surprise me at all that you figured out a way to shine. And then you go out to a team. Everybody's like, yeah, go out to the field and have a great time. But unless you're able to do what you need to do, which obviously you're not able to do. These guys are already out getting drunk and doing what has to get done. You're mostly just spinning your wheels, and not surprising at all that you got back into operations. The military stuff's fun, but one of the most incredible things about you is this rowing across the Atlantic Ocean. How the heck did you get into rowing? And you know what? Just go from there.
Yeah, so I joined this program that offered free rowing for veterans. A brand new program. I don't think there was anything like it in the country. And I was a third adopter. There was a couple of young guys there came back from Iraq, and then of course I came back from Bosnia. And to me it was like a revelation. It was an eye-opening experience. Like around these other veterans, and rowing is a lot like the military. You get up early, you have kind of a mission. You're going to row. You have to do it in a group. You have a commander. And I do this, do that, and you come back, you do a little after-action review. This is what we did well. This is what we didn't do well. And it kind of just clicks with military people. Not to say we're great rowers, but like the whole concept of it really clicks really well. And I was like, man, this is just an amazing program. I'm so grateful that it's free. I didn't have a lot of money. And I really took to it. And I wanted to promote the program. So I said, well, look, I'll do something totally insane so I can get my name in the newspaper and stuff like that, and then I can talk about this other program. And that's essentially what I did. I wound up joining a team. We rowed across the Atlantic Ocean in 2012, and we did a really good job. We came in third of all time. We won the race that year. It's called the Atlantic Challenge. We won our race that year, but we were third best of all time. And in our particular boat style, we hold the record for the fastest cross, and I wound up being the fastest American to ever cross, and only because not a lot of Americans do this. Yeah, it was a really exciting thing, and it just gave me an opportunity to promote the program. So that was kind of that.
And are you still the fastest American to row across the Atlantic, or do you know?
As far as I know, no one's until someone tells me otherwise. I'll keep have bragging rights. Possible deniability, because I haven't really checked, but they don't really keep track of those kind of things. Yeah, I actually had to do a little research. The captain of my boat, for all his faults, it was really nice of him to do a little research and said, you know what, Brian, you're going to be the fastest American. Then he turned to my friend Toby at the time, and this other guy Neil, and he said, oh, by the way, you're going to be the fastest Kiwi, and you're going to be the fastest Australian. So we had three fastest guys there, and then we had one other guy who was paraplegic. He didn't have a leg. He was the fastest guy with
the prosthetic leg. Wow, and he rowed across the ocean with you guys. That's incredible. It never ceases to amaze me how handicapped is such a different thing now. Someone's out there just rowing across the ocean, and how many people have ever even done that? There's just got to be a few thousand. That's incredible. That's really cool. So give me an idea. What's the typical day? I mean, you're out there. You got a long way to row. There's a whole bunch of you. What's a day like?
All right. So any typical day, we row 12. Actually 11 and a half or 12 and a half hours, because there was kind of the way the schedule worked. You were hour on, hour off, hour and a half on, hour and a half off. So kind of the way it fell. Every other day, you rowed either 1 hour more or 1 hour less. And you just row the whole time. It's physically. It's not as demanding as you think. Half the people in the boat were not rowers at all. If anything, I was the second most experienced person in the boat. As far as like actual time in like a crew boat or sculling. The captain himself had actually rowed across the Atlantic 5 other times, but like he was a terrible rower. Terrible. And like had terrible form. And he rowed really lightly, very gingerly. The only two real heavy rowers on the board were me and this guy Toby. And then the other teams, it's funny. The sport, I don't want to call it a sport. The competition attracts, people that have sort of like, we're willing to do something insane. So a lot of people have rowed across the Atlantic Ocean and climbed Mount Everest, or like, did something like that, did K2 or something, so it was very common to meet other people that doing this kind of thing that had done sort of some kind of extreme sports. Like, I think one guy, walked across Antarctica or something like that. So that's really kind of the people that attract. So it wasn't exactly rowers. The fact that I had very little rowing experience, it really was not surprising. I think that's more common than not. But my day-to-day life was, row, sleep, row, sleep, row, sleep, row, eat, sleep, row, eat, sleep, row, sleep, 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 that kind of thing. The monotony of it.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero, co-host of the Break It Down show and fellow producer here at Lions Rock Productions. And I'm proud to announce our newest show coming in January. It's called Justice. Season 1 is going to be a deep dive into some of the cases I personally worked on as a licensed private investigator, and you'll get a unique view into the criminal justice system that may just challenge some of your personal notions about how it should work and open your eyes in ways you never imagined. So keep your ears open for Justice, a brand new podcast coming in January from Lions Rock Productions to iTunes, Stitcher, and wherever you get your favorite podcasts.
Row, sleep, row, sleep, row, eat, sleep, row, eat, sleep, row, sleep, 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 that kind of thing. The monotony of it, I don't know. I think at first it's really painful at first, and then somewhere around day 20, you sort of kind of fall into it, and it's not that bad actually. You don't come to despise it though, and then the end sort of just creeps up on you.
So wait, didn't it take you like 25 days to get into? It took you 20 days to get into the groove for a 25-day row.
Like day 25, we realized you're only 500 miles away from Barbados, and you're like, oh my god, that is coming right up, and then wake up one morning, it's right there. And you're like, oh my god, I can see it.
I gotta ask the obvious bathroom question, so help me fill in the blank here.
So we took off really fast. So 500 miles is like, it was like 6-7 days. And, so like the first 3 days, the first 2 days I didn't eat anything. And then, it was the third day before I was like, hand me the bucket. It's ready, and you really don't have like kind of a, when do I sleep? When do I eat? You don't have any kind of rhythm down. And there's no synergy in the boat at all. Everybody wants to do their own thing, so it's kind of hectic. The captain doesn't, my biggest fault with the captain is he didn't provide a lot of oversight, he didn't provide a good model for these kind of things. He knew it was going to be Bryan right from the start, and he didn't prepare us at all. He didn't say, hey, you need to get 2 sets of headphones. That's a good idea, because they'll break. You're going to need them, or you're going to need manage your sleep time like this, or manage your eating like this. We all had to kind of figure out as we went along because he didn't have a whole lot of leadership skills. Now, to be fair, he built a great boat. He got us across safely, and got us across in a really quick time. So kudos to him regarding those things like that. His weaknesses were all the kind of the organizational behavior stuff.
So what's the big takeaway from that? I mean, is it out there finding that rhythm on day 20? Is it just getting through the challenge? What's the pinnacle moment and the reason why someone does this?
There's no greater experience than when you pull up to shore. It's totally euphoric. And looking back, I have to say, I'm getting a little older now because I'm almost 50 now. Life is much more about experiences, and to do something like this that not a lot of people have done is really kind of a feather in your hat. I bet you that you love the fact that you served as a spy much more now than you ever did when you were in. And it's the same thing with me with this rowing thing. The rowing across was not a great experience at the time, but looking back, it was a fantastic experience. And the longer I look back, the greater it was. And I even kind of want to do it again now. I'd love to captain my own boat because I could see the strengths and weaknesses that he had, and hopefully I could build on that. And that's a little bit of hubris on my part, but I think there's something to be said, for having a much more positive, a much more organized crew and a little more safety standards. He's not really great with safety stuff, but that being said, I don't know. I relish the fact that I did it though, because it's something that not a lot of people have done, and life is all about experiences.
So how about the boat? I mean, how dangerous is that? Are you guys constantly tossing and turning, or how do you guys do in a storm all by yourselves in a damn rowboat?
So the boat is actually super buoyant. So think of like a cork in the water. It never really has any danger at all, right? So in that regard, those boats are super uber buoyant. Like me and you could pick up the whole boat, and it holds 8 people and food. So we can still pick it up.
Okay, so I mean, it's light and it's buoyant and everything, but still, like, big swells are big swells. And I remember you talking about how hard it was. Is it terrifying out there during a storm?
We'd have 70-foot swells. We go right up over them. No big deal. Here's the danger. Okay, there's kind of 2 dangers. Like the boat, the people don't put pontoons on these boats, so they tend to rock back and forth a little bit. The danger is they roll. It rolls over. Now the boats are all made to be self-righting, so they'll right back over. But your shit's all over the place then, and it's usually if it rolls over, the weather's pretty effed up. Can we say effed up on? What can we say in the air?
You should say whatever the fuck you want to say.
So it's pretty fucked up. So a lot can happen when it rolls over. Like that's can be a big problem. Most of the boats, when they roll once, have to be rescued because we're not going to get into the logistics of it, but they tend to take on water, even if they're designed to be sealed shut. But the real danger is you get blown overboard. During shift change or something like that, you stand up, a wave hits you get knocked overboard. The boats, you have a really low visibility on the boat. So when you stand up, you can only see a certain distance, and it's not that far. And if you're in the water, you can only see about 20 feet, especially if it's all waves, right? The waves coming up and down kind of thing, like little, I don't know, even small waves, like little 4 or 5 foot waves. But something blows you off board, right? And you fall into the water, you get your head above water, and you turn around, and you're like, okay, what direction is the boat? Because you can only see 20 feet. Maybe you start swimming in a direction. Maybe it's the right direction. Maybe it's the wrong direction. In 2 seconds, that boat's cruising right along. It's 100 feet away. You're in the wrong direction now, right? So now you're 150 feet away. It's only been 2 minutes. They've stopped the boat now. Now they're actively looking for you, yelling for you, right? But you can't hear anything. None of us wore whistles. You can't really hear anything, even like 20 feet away, because the waves are loud. It's a lot of decibels. So in a matter of seconds, you're now all alone in the ocean. Yeah, and we didn't wear life rivers, so now you're treading water. And it's like big waves, you're treading water. The other boat's looking for you. And the other boat, they can't see very far either. And so, like, if the waves are 5 feet high and you're right at water level, your head's above water, that hides you, infinitely hides you. So it may come up a wave and they can look down. They could possibly see you if you're really close, but otherwise you're gone. And that's still danger. And so if you get blown overboard and you're not connected to the boat in some way, we wore these little strings that connected to our boat. They cannibalized them off of boogie boards, but it's just a piece of Velcro. So like, think of a boogie board weighs 5 pounds, not even 2 pounds, right? And you could have all the waves in the world, and that thing's going to hold on to your foot because the thing only weighs 2 pounds. But a boat weighs 1,200 pounds, with everybody in it, And when that thing pulls away from you, it's my 250 pounds versus the 1,200 pound boat, and all I have a little piece of Velcro on my foot. And that thing just snaps off instantly. So it's not like you're going to be tethered to the boat either at all. So that's the real danger. And then it just becomes a matter of, can we find you before you drowned?
Yeah, there's this guy named Archibald that was on a cruise with his friends for the 50th anniversary or 50th birthday party. They were out like in the Straits of Jakarta or somewhere. They're just going from Australia to the next place, and one of them was a little drunk, got tipsy in a storm, and he went overboard. And we did his show on Mark Patterson's show. You guys should check out Finding Your Summit. It's awesome. I produced that show. But he goes overboard, and they don't know. They just keep on steaming. They keep on motoring along, and once you fall into the water, your head's as big as a coconut, and it's impossible to see, and it's a storm, and it's at night. So they got all the way to their destination before they realized that he wasn't there, because they're a bunch of guys hung over and hanging out. So they turn around and they navigate back, and he's out there for days, like 35, 48 hours, something like that, and just floating. And he had been sick, so he's already weak from that and dehydrated from puking. And now he's out there in the water, and his friends navigate right by him, and they don't see him. And then going the other direction, this guy learns about him falling overboard. So they go look for him, and it's just like this divine thing where they get just guided by God to go find this guy. And even as they find him, he's so tired. He does this, big like water polo kick so they can see him, and he's waving his arms. It's all the energy he has. And they see him and they turn and they're coming to him and they're already pretty close. And then he realizes that's it. That's all the energy I have. And he starts to go under and drown, and he can't save himself. And then right as that is happening, one of the guys jumps off the boat, goes in and grabs him by the arm, and then he recovers and he hops in the boat, but he was completely worn out and basically moments from dying. They just, he's like, I'm going to die as they're rescuing me, is what he thought. And luckily he made it. But that's how harrowing it is to go into open water without a life vest on, without a whistle, without any kind of light to alert anybody.
A plastic light, a whistle. Yeah, they should all stuff should be attached to you. Even like at this point, it should be some sort of like GPS device. At this point, you're within 100 feet of whatever that is, and you just keep circling within that 100 feet until you find that. But I mean, those are some safety procedures that our captain never did. But fortunately, we never had a problem. But two crossings later, exactly that scenario happened. A young guy, 21 years old, got blown overboard. Boom. It was rocky waves. They went up and down these little waves. They're only about 8-10 feet tall. But he's gone. In 1 second, he was gone. They circled for 3 days. Nothing. Couldn't find him. But that's the danger, And there's this young guy, really fit, 21 years old, drowned, gone. Yeah. What a terrible way to go, because you're all alone now. And I bet if you're a young 21-year-old guy, you got your adrenaline going, you probably tread water for a day.
Okay, so I have 100 more questions about the ocean, but I don't want to run out of time with you, and I want to make sure that we cover this next bit here. But if anybody heard during our Veterans Week, you were one of our profiled veteran businesses. You and I have done the transition thing. You kind of went your way, my way, but we've been there along as you became a CPA and you were an assistant, all these reverse osmosis jobs, all these things. And now you've got it. And I know this is it. It's not juice anymore. It's nothing down at the Haymarket. You've started a studio called Power Rowing. It's in Massachusetts. They're basically there in Boston. But I want to understand more about it. I'm going to shut up and let you just talk about it.
Yeah. So it's really exciting. It's a kind of a whole new venture. So there's not a lot of rowing studios. There's a bazillion spin studios. That's with a bike. Not a lot of rowing studios. That's with a erg or a rowing machine. There's probably 25 in the whole country, maybe 30 in the whole country. Starting to spring up more and more though, because it turns out rowing is just a very, very efficient, low impact exercise. And so I thought about it, and I said, you know what, I bet I could bring this to the public. And I'm trying, so I set up a small studio, like 15 machines in Brookline here, and I introduced to the public not last August, but the August before, 2017, and it's slowly grown and grown and grown and grown, and just this month we hit 100 members, and we're not quite there. I'm not to a place where I'm like, oh, this is it, this has happened, but we're pretty close. We have a really big following. People really genuinely love it. Culturally, we're all about community. We do a ton of fundraising for like various events and various causes. And a matter of fact, this last Thanksgiving, I reached out to everybody. I said, hey, instead of doing a turkey trot, why don't you come and do a turkey row? Give me $20 and we'll donate it all to homeless shelter for children. And I had 50 people show up on Thanksgiving morning. Now that I think about it, it's actually more than that, because we raised $1,150, and it only has $20 a head. I rounded up. I paid a little extra and rounded up. But it's crazy. So I'm really excited about like the potential like where we can go with this, because I think that there's a lot of potential here, not just for the rowing thing, but part of the community aspect of it. And, like just, I don't know. It's been a terrific ride. I just hope that it never ends.
Okay, so how bad is your imposter complex? I mean, I know this isn't supposed to work, right? Most businesses fail. You've tried other things in the past that haven't been the right thing, but this is working. So what's the toll for the imposter syndrome?
Oh my! Every day, like someone will come in and ask me a tough question, and I'll, they're like, "Oh, so what's the right stretch for this muscle in my body?" I'm like, "Fuck if I know. I'm not qualified to do that. I'm qualified to do this." And I'm immediately I'm like, oh my God, somebody's gonna find out I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And like people will call me up like, hey, I want a private class with you. No, I'll pay the $100 for it. And I'm like, why would you want a private class with me? I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And how am I an expert? And like I started teaching classes to kids and like 10 to 13 years old, and like, I'm like, why am I qualified to do this? I don't have any studies in like kids studies or anything like that. And boy, the kids love it. People like the private classes. People like the big classes I hold. They can't get enough of it. I've got probably about 1,800 reviews at this point since I opened, and I'm the highest reviewed instructor in the greater Boston.
Well, look, that may be a surprise to you, but it is not a surprise to me. You are among the most genuine, trustworthy, hardworking, faithful guys I know. So I know that whatever you put your heart into, and I know this is what you're doing. Of course, you're a great instructor. I mean, you motivate me all the time. But what is your rating though? Like how high is it?
It only comes out of 5 stars, right? That 5 stars is the hardest you can get. So I have like a 4.94 review rating out of about 1,800 reviews. And I say this with confidence that nobody's higher. No one in Boston's higher. It would be kind of in the ballpark, but no one's higher. It's 100% chance no one's higher. So whatever I'm doing, like I'm really reaching people in a way that people are not accustomed to. And I get people come in all the time and look, I read your reviews and I'm a little skeptical, so I had to check it out. Then they wind up leaving the same review. They're like, this is the real deal. Boy, you gotta try this out. He really will change your life as far as conditioning and I've done all kinds of marketing, and my best marketing is word of mouth. And I can't beat it. People come in and they're like, I got to bring a friend in. And like, that's the attitude. And like, people don't go to Gold's Gym and they're like, oh man, I got to bring Pete in because Gold's is so great, But people are like that. It's kind of, I don't want to use the word cult, but some of my own guests use that word once in a while. Like, I'm part of the cult here. And I'm like, oh, no, we're not a cult. We're not a cult. And they're like, no, it's a cult. And that's good.
I'm just going to say it again because I get to say it, and I know you won't do it. But, dude, you've got impeccable character.
I'm a character, but I don't have an impeccable character.
When we first started becoming spies, one of the things they teach us is that you've got to be above reproach, and that's what you are. I mean, you're 100% trustworthy, and I think the world of you and what you do and what you stand for, and it's reflecting. And this is why I know that you're in the right spot, because you're just passionate about this, and you're a big, strong dude, but you're lovable, and you just have this. I don't know, man. Your character is as good as anybody I've ever met, and I'm just proud of you and so excited for you.
Well, I appreciate that, Pete, and that means a lot to me.
Okay, so it's the new year, and people want to work out. And it's easy to get there once, twice, 3 times, but then you start to fail. Help us understand, what does it take? Because you go every day. I mean, granted, it's your job, it's your business, but how do you encourage people to do that next workout? What do you do? Help us out.
So everybody anywhere has tried once. I'm going to start this great workout thing, okay? But it's not the first day that's the hardest one. It's the second day. So now you know how hard it's going to be, and you come in a second day. So that's where the change really. That's the person that's going to make the difference. Okay, so I'll have 1 million people sign up for new memberships or buy a 10-pack or something like that in January, and it's great for my bottom line. But I really want those people to come back, and it's so tough to get them back. It's the second day that makes all the difference. That's the one that says, you know what, I'm going to make all the difference here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. You got to. It's when people talk about working out and stuff like that and conditioning, I'm like, it's not necessarily rowing, it's not necessarily spin, it's not weightlifting, CrossFit, whatever you want to do. It's whatever is going to get you to do it. Okay. Now, the things that are more efficient, rowing, kind of scientifically is one of the most efficient exercises you can do. Low impact, great for bone density. It's all over muscular workout. But forget all that. Okay. Like if running is the thing that wakes you up in the morning and says, I got to do it because I'm going to love running, do it. Just do that, or class, you connect with the instructor, or the music is great, or maybe Zumba. It doesn't really matter, but whatever gets you going, whatever floats your boat, okay, gets you out there that second time. That's what's important. And you've got to find that as an individual, and then you can start to change your life.
Yeah. It seems like the thing is like, just find the simplest thing. If it's just going outside and walking, just get that. Like whatever it is, even if you're bad at it that day, get out to the gym. Just get to the gym. Just drive there. I mean, everybody can do that, right? Like, you're going to mess around and leave 10 minutes later. Just get to the gym and start trying to make a difference that way. That's like the best way to make a difference in getting there all the time is just anything you can do to start.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Fundamentally, it's just, you just got to get in there and just got to do it. I one guy I like to talk about all the time. His name's Ed. He came in, he's 68 years old, and we had this workout. It's like a 3-minute workout, right? And it doesn't sound like very long, but rowing is hard, And he could never finish his 3-minute workout when he first came in. He's almost looks a little bit like the guy from the movie Up, like Ed Asner. And he stuck with me for about 4 months before he moved away. And he came in 3 days a week religiously. And at first he could do a minute, and then he could do a minute and a quarter, and a minute and a half. And at the end of 2.5 months, he was doing a full 3 minutes. And he was working on improving that time, see how far he could go, And he turned to me and said, boy, I don't know what to say, but I'm in the best shape I've been in 20 years. And he was 68 years old. So there's a little to that, like just put one more word on that page, one more word on that page, and we'll figure it out. We'll get it all going together, and he did it. He did it. And, that's a story I like to tell all the time.
Wait, it only takes 3 minutes to do the workout though? Or help me understand that. That seems like that's super short. Are you like 2-minute abs, that kind of thing?
Oh, you know what? So not to get into too many details, but the science is much, much more about, instead of length of time, duration of your workout, it's much more about intensity. So we talk a lot about getting the heart rate right around 85 to 90%, 85, 90%. Your heart rate around 85, 90%, your body starts to react and says, oh my gosh, boy, we've got to make some fundamental changes. I mean, I could talk your ear off about kind of like why this happens, but we could save it for a whole other show. But yeah, it's about the intensity of your workout, and in 3 minutes, you can get your heart rate gassed. I mean, just cooked. It's like equivalent to like running up a hill, or running upstairs. In 3 minutes, you're running upstairs. You're done. And rowing is a lot like that because so many muscles are activated. That's a lot of oxygen to pump throughout your body, and when that happens, your heart's like, oh my gosh, we got to make this happen. And in 3 minutes, you can really do some changes.
It's a little longer than 3 minutes. Like you got to get warmed up, and you probably got to get your heart rate going and get all the joints loose and everything else, right?
So, all right. So, yes and no. But get ready for that, though. So, typical class is 45 minutes long. To get ready for that 3-minute challenge, we'll warm you up for a half hour. So that's part of the challenge. So you can't just hop on the machine and just do 3 minutes of intense work. Your body's not ready for it. So there's a half-hour process of getting it ready. So we look at those things, and we prepare your body to then perform, and then you perform. But that preparation process is so key to it because people will skip that and they get hurt. Their muscles aren't warmed up. They can't. They go to push themselves. Their scores aren't very good because your body is still warming up in those 3 minutes. You'll find your scores are much, much, much better if you take at least 15, 20 minutes to warm up.
And is it just one big hard 3-minute pull, or is it a series of them? I mean, is it like intervals are you doing, or how does it work?
Well, think of it as a button, okay? You press that button, you activate something in the body that says, okay, we need a response, right? So we actually press that button like 3 times. So we do 3 3-minute challenges. Make sure we get there, okay? It's all about telling your body we need to make some changes. We need to make some changes. So you press that button once, your body's like, oh yeah, we'll do that. You press it twice, it's like, oh yeah, we got it. You press it that third time, it's like, all right, we got it. We're trying to make those changes. So I tell people, come in 4 classes in 2 weeks and look me in the eye and tell me you don't feel like you have more energy. And I've yet to have anybody turn to me and say, you know what, I don't feel more energy. But every single person that's come in, I've given that challenge to. We don't ever talk, lose 10 pounds in 10 weeks. Nothing like that. We don't do things like that. Or we're going to build abs in 10 weeks or anything like that, right? I say, you look me in the eye and tell me you don't have more energy. And that's the challenge towards people. And I think that's a much better representation, because I have no control over what you eat. I have no control over your physique or anything like that. But I can help control where your cardio is. And, I got people that come to me and they're like, I'm no longer on, cholesterol pills. I'm no longer, my heart rate's, my resting heart rate's dropped by 15 points, all kinds of crazy stuff like that, because that's stuff that we can control. Students, they're going to lose weight with them. They have no control over those kind of things. I don't know why they make those statements saying, you're going to get much skinnier here, for spring. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I have no control over the real factor is what you eat.
So are you going to start doing some kind of remote coaching or videos or heck, Diamond Dallas Page made most of his money on yoga.
It's coming. Let me make a little profit here first, and then coming. A lot of people are asking me for that. They want the videos. And it's funny. I remember when I was a kid, Billy Blank was a big deal doing the whole. He had a studio in Los Angeles, and the studio did very well. It was a huge studio, but he'd fill 50 people, and they'd do this whole class with him. He made all his money off the videos, though, and there's something to be said for that. Clearly, from my reviews, this is where the imposter syndrome comes in. People seem to like me. They want the product they want that I'm presenting. And so I'm trusting those things to say, at some point, I'll do the video process. It's coming. It's coming. But it's not there yet. Up till now, they got to just visit us in Boston, or, get a rowing machine of your own. And if they want to reach out to me and they need a workout, I can walk them through something, and not that way.
Are you going to expand soon? Let me ask you that. Are you going to expand?
30 more, and I can say, you know what? It's time for me to step away from this a little bit. 30 more, and I need to hire 5 more great people. And up till now, I haven't made any effort to hire new great people. They all come to me, and I've just been very fortunate. I've gotten nothing but awesome trainers. They all have great reviews. They're really fantastic. But it's on me I have to find another 5. It can't just be the Bryan Fuller show. It's got to be the powerrowing show. And right now, out of the 50 classes we teach a week, probably 30. So maybe more, maybe 38. So it has to be something more than just a Bryan Fuller show. And I have to, kind of let these guys go for more. But I need more people and to pay for those people.
Well, that's going to happen. I mean, look, you're a great leader. You inspire people to work out. You're going to inspire people to show up and help out. I have no doubt about that. It's just going to take time. And the next thing you know, you're going to have to bust down the walls in that place, and then you're going to have to go get another one. I just know it. What have you learned? What have you gained? How have you been enriched by this whole thing? There's something that's unexpected that's happened, and you have come to appreciate that probably as much as anything else. What's that thing?
When I first started the studio, I guess, I knew that I wanted to do some community stuff, but I had no idea it would become like the community. Like people, like if you go to a spin class or something like that, or yoga class, you get done with the class, you're like, okay, everybody out. And like everybody's gone in 2 minutes. And like you get done with one of my classes and there's like a lobby area and like everybody hangs out there for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. And they've all become good friends. And like a lot of people are like, I didn't know anybody in Brookline Village. Now I know 100 people. And I've become like a networking hub. That was not something I was expecting. Like people come to me and so I get it quite a bit. They're like, oh, how do you feel about this? Or what about this? Can we do this through here? And I'm like, and I'm always trying to find the answer. Yes. That was not a part I was expecting. I was expecting people to want to do this workout because they wanted to work out, and they love this place, not just for the workout, but much more for the community aspect. And I didn't know that I was a community organizer before I started this, and it turns out that's probably what I'm best at.
Well, look, I can't wait for you to expand to Orange County so I can get myself a leotard and get up there in front of a class and help you grow the business. I think the world of you, Bryan, and I know that you're doing great things because as long as I've known you and as well as I know you, this is the one thing that it's perfect. You were great at this, everything about your character, and you deserve the success, man. I think the world of it, and I know already that this is going to continue to be a hit for you.
I think that might be true. I think it might be true. So I think that's the one area where I guess I can claim I'm not an imposter.
Yeah, man, for sure. I'll confirm it for you. You're not an imposter, but you are my friend and my lifelong friend at that. Hey, listen, everybody, you guys got to go check out Bryan. If you're in Brookline, Mass, grab some sticks and get to rowing. Look for his studio. It's called Power Rowing. He's going to be coming around, and we're going to have him on the show more too because I just can't get enough of him. I got to find a reason to come out to Boston. And look, I just can't wait to talk to you again, Bryan. Thank you so much for coming on.
Hey, thanks so much, Pete, and I hope to talk to you again soon.